Thanks for joining us for this episode. And I do want to remind you to make sure that you are following us on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you may listen to podcasts. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/@churchadvance. And you can actually watch video versions of each episode. We'd also really appreciate it if you could leave us a 5-star review and share this content with other pastors and church leaders. We want to help as many of these folks as we can. And so we'd really appreciate you sharing this episode with your friends. Well, thanks again for joining us as we begin today's episode and continue to advance a reformation of fellowship, partnership, and gospel hope amongst Bible-believing pastors and churches. This is Church Advance with Bryan Sams.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Church Advance podcast. I don't know about you, that music gets me fired up every single time. Love that intro. And Merry Christmas to all. Thank you for another fantastic year of Church Advance podcast with Bryan Sams. It has been epic on every level. Lots of downloads, lots of followers. We're so appreciative of that, and have met so many of you speaking out, and many have even stopped by the church over the year. And I just want to say, on this Christmas day, when this releases, Merry Christmas to you and to yours. Hey, listen, Luke's back with us again. And Luke, hey, man, welcome again. Merry Christmas, by the way, man.
Hey, yeah, Merry Christmas to you. Yeah, absolutely. It's been 2023 has been, it's been a year, it's been a journey, back here on the first week of the year, we officially changed the name of the podcast to Church Advance with Bryan Sams. And like you said, we started doing the weekly episodes and we haven't missed a week. So it's been good. It's been great. And I'm honored to have been part of the journey. So, I think the content that we are going to be covering today is just the perfect Christmas Day episode in so many ways.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We're going to start today with, we're going to talk about Christmas songs and Christmas movies.
Yes.
And I'm going to do the best Christmas movies and the worst Christmas songs.
Yeah.
Luke, I just was thinking, what about you? Like, what's your favorite Christmas movie? You got one?
Well, I do. I think yours is on the list, so I don't want to spoil it for you.
Okay. So I'm going to hold that.
First, before we get into this, we do have to remind everybody that we are just really at this point over a couple months away from Church Advance Conference. So we'll slide that in there.
If you want to provide a Christmas present for yourself or for your ministry team, come down here to Church Advance February 7th through 9th with these fantastic friends, Carrie Schmidt, Kurt Skelly, and HB Charles Jr. 3 dynamic evening worship experiences, 2 full days of teaching and fellowship and discussion. And next week, on the first episode of 2024, we're going to announce something about Church Advance Conference that you are not going to want to miss. I promise you, it's something new. It's something amazing. It's an opportunity that very few people will have in their life, probably, to be a part of. So next week, tune in right here for the biggest announcement about the Church Advance Conference in its history. And I will look forward to seeing you there. And Luke, looking forward to having you back here in Florida. What a better place to be in January or February than Florida. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I remember when I was there a couple years ago, it was like, oh, it's not freezing cold, it was wonderful. So yeah. And you told me about this announcement. You've already told me off the mic, and I'm really excited just to record that announcement.
I can't wait. It's a special situation, and my goodness, what a treat.
So join us New Year's Day next week, January 1. We'll be making that announcement.
Happy New Year. And now to the important stuff. Look,
yeah, let's get into it.
I asked my family this. I said, what are y'all's favorite movies? My wife said, I mean, she's just, she just loves Home Alone. Home Alone, the classic, Home Alone 1. And it is a good one. No doubt. My son is 11. Okay, so Luke, what do you think his was?
Um, his is well. I mean, I know what it is because I see your notes
That's
here.
right. You got the notes.
But his is probably mine. So
Yeah,
go ahead, because I'm a
okay, so
child like that.
so his is Elf.
Elf, yeah,
I mean, my goodness, it's a very close to my favorite for
yeah.
sure. It just absolutely is hilarious.
Yeah, it's
And
Will
for
Ferrell at his best, really. I mean, it was the good days of Will Ferrell. There's so many great comedies around that era with him, and just the fact that it's classic and Christmas and kid friendly.
and if you're 11 years
Yeah.
old, it's the funniest thing you've ever
Oh
seen in
yeah.
your life.
I'm 32 years old, and it's the funniest thing I've ever seen. It's great.
And then my daughter came in with I mean, for me, a little bit of an outsider. She said the Santa Claus with Tim Allen. I think it's good. It's not my favorite. I've watched
Yeah.
it. I have an outsider though. And guys, look, I see this list everywhere. I mean, it's like every year people come up with the best Christmas lists. And my top three are number three, Home Alone, number two, Elf. But listen, guys, the greatest Christmas movie ever is no doubt Rocky 4. Oh, Rocky 4? Are you kidding me? I think the Rocky series is one of the greatest series of movies ever put out. I actually think Rocky 4 is the best of all of the movies, and I've seen all of them. The Creed movies are fantastic. But man, Rocky 4, where he fights Ivan Drago in
Mm.
Moscow, Russia, avenging the death of Apollo Creed on Christmas Day? Oh, people,
It's-
look. It doesn't
So
it doesn't get any more USA than that.
I, I mean, it's very true. That is Christmas. That is America. So I got to ask then, for you, is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
I've never got into that discussion. I think diehards are great. Whatever. I mean, it's not. Even if it were, it doesn't fall into this list in any proximity for me.
Anyway,
And by
okay,
the
yeah.
way, so number one, Rocky 4, number two, Elf, number three, Home Alone, number 1,562, any Hallmark movie. Okay, it just goes. It just goes. They're just. My daughter mentioned one the other night. I said, "Oh, you're kidding me. We don't even talk about. We don't even
One of
talk
them
about
is all of
Hallmark
them.
movies."
I mean, you mentioned one. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Name any of them. It's like, hey, it's the exact same plot, exact same
Good
everything.
grief.
So
I
yeah,
mean, from the first scene, you know exactly what's going to happen.
yeah.
Now, I'm going to blow through these real quick because I just want to tell you right now there's some bad Christmas music out there.
Come on.
There's some
Yeah.
bad Christmas music. And my wife starts playing Christmas music 1st of November. She's all in. I'm not going to try to stop her. I love it. Two months a year, we think about Christmas is great. But when I hear these, I'm running. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm running.
Come on.
And I'm just going to give you three. I have a fourth one here. Actually, I'll mention it in a minute, but let me give my top three worst Christmas songs. Do not play them. They have no place in the Christmas season. One, Christmas Shoes. Come on, people. That's got to be the worst. That has got to be the worst song ever.
Come on.
I am very sentimental, obviously, but if you've never seen the movie or anything, I mean, it's just so bizarre. Like, what is this even about?
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
just doesn't do it for me. Number two, Santa Claus Comes Tonight. I hate that song. That's a terrible song. And it's not because I'm against Santa Claus. I mean, obviously he's not real. We all know that. I'm not one of those
Yeah.
weird people that, Santa Claus can never be around. There's just
Gonna
there's
get
some
canceled for
stupid.
that one. How?
Oh, whatever. There's some stupid lines in the song, like this one.
Yeah.
Santa knows we're all God's children. That makes everything right. And I'm thinking, what? Like what? What is that even? First of all, like, what does that even mean? What are you like? What is this even talking about? And how does it relate to Santa Claus? So I just am out on that one. I think it's ridiculous. And then, of course, number three, and this may be actually the worst song ever. Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer. I don't even, honestly, man, I don't even hear that one much. I don't even hear it on the radio right
Mm.
now.
I think the world is accepting that it's garbage.
Good. Maybe that one will just go. And the truth is, I haven't heard Christmas Shoes either. You hear
Yeah. I mean, I've not heard much of it either. Yeah. Good point.
So you do hear Santa Claus Comes Tonight is standard. It's more in like the historic Christmas season songs. It's probably never going away. Those three are terrible. Then my daughter, I asked her today, on the way to school. I said, "Hey, what's Christmas song do you not like?" She was like, "What's the one about the three shepherds?" I was like, "What?" Oh, I said, "Are you talking about the Three Kings of Orient?" She's like, "That's it." And I said, "You know what? That's a pretty terrible Christmas song too."
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm a little bit. That's the only one I
You
take a
like it?
little issue with, just because last night my daughter had her Christmas program, and that's the song the choir sang, and it was
Oh,
cute. So,
well, Luke.
now I have a
Luke.
few to add to the. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I
So
want to hear it.
I
I
have a
want to
few
hear
to add
yours
to
real quick.
this, just real quick. First of all, Little Drummer Boy, stupid. I mean, seriously, where do we come up with where is this person? Like, is this based off the Apocrypha or something? Where did we come up with this Bible
So
character?
the drummer boy is the make believe a company of the Three Kings, I think. He
Oh,
is
okay. Well,
drumming, I think. Actually,
uh,
I don't even know
okay,
why I said that because I don't
I don't
actually
know.
even know.
Maybe. It's
It's
ridiculous.
terrible.
No,
It's terrible.
another one, Santa Baby. That is,
Oh,
why are we making Santa into this semi-sensual figure? No, thank you. No, not for
oh,
me.
let me one up you on that. Just yesterday, I heard a guy sing Santa Baby.
Oh
Now
gosh. No,
look,
thank you.
look, look. There's a place where lines are drawn, and there it is for me. So cancel me
Yeah.
on that one too. But hey, look, guys don't sing Santa Baby. Nobody should sing it for that matter. I'm with
Yeah.
you on that. That's a terrible song. Yeah, I'm with
Well,
you on
and
that one.
here's my other one, is any of the Christmas songs performed by any of the Beatles. So Wonderful Christmas Time and So This Is
Yeah.
Christmas. I hate those songs. Can't stand them. When I hear them,
Man, I'm
they're
gonna have to
just
tell you, man. I kind of like those. I know that's terrible,
ah,
but
I just
let me give you one more. We gotta get to our point today, but let me
we
get
do.
one more. Let me get to one more outsider one that I don't really care for, and that's Bruce Springsteen's classic.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Santa Claus is coming to town. I think, or make is that the right song? Santa
Yeah,
Claus is
it's
coming
his
to town.
version of
That's
Santa Claus is coming to town. Yeah. Mhm.
I don't care for that one. I think that's kind of weird. But so like some people really like that ones. I don't mind the Beatles ones, but hey, maybe in the comments here, leave us yours. We'd love to hear it. Guys, every year since I started what used to be the Bryan Sands podcast and into now Church Advance podcast, I have had an episode where we talk about my top books of the year. Every year I've done 10. This year I'm actually doing 8, not because I haven't read that much. It's just I've read a lot, frankly, in the book of Revelation, commentaries and
Mhm.
writings, and it's not necessarily like the kind of reading that is so interesting for everybody. So of the ones that I thought were applicable, and I'm reading about 4 new books right now, but I haven't finished them. So I got 8, man. I got 8. I'm gonna read them and from my order from well, I'm going to end with what I believe is my favorite book of the year. But so let me just start. Um, Number one recommended book for this year is The Power to Change by Craig Groeschel.
Mm.
I think Craig Groeschel is a great communicator. The book is about habit change, super encouraging, super easy to understand from a really well-respected leader. Luke, I don't know if you've read much Craig Groeschel or listened to his
I,
podcast, but he's a good communicator.
yeah, and I did. This was one of the books that I actually got this year. Really good. I'll also say this too. We based it off of the sermon series he had done a couple of years earlier, just called Habits. And so if you're looking for a hack to maybe get the content of the book without having to read the entire book, if you go look up that sermon series, a 3-part sermon series he did on habits, very good. A lot of the same content drawn here, but yes,
It's a
just a powerful book.
Yeah, I did it on audiobook while I was at the gym and
Hmm.
I loved it this year. Great book. I just kind of highly recommend his stuff. Generally, if he wrote it, it's probably going to be pretty good. His stuff on marriage is good. His stuff on thinking is good. But this year I read The Power to Change by him. I would just say pick up a Craig Groeschel book each year and it will build your mind. It'll build your business habits, build your church habits. Really good. Number 2 is kind
Hmm.
of way out of the box for me. I read a book called How to Grow Your Small Business by Donald Miller.
Yep.
Donald Miller's a well-respected guy. I thought the book was good. There were elements I liked, elements that were a little bit more boring. But one of the things, Luke, just for me personally in 2024, that I decided was I wanted to be better at 2 things this year. One, I wanted to be better at pastoring. I'm not talking about preaching, although I think that's always a thing. I just mean like just the art of being a pastor. What does it mean to lead a church?
Hmm.
Included in that is the absolute necessity of running an organization. I mean, I know people don't like to talk about this, But guys, if you're a pastor, you're running, you and maybe a team or whatever are running a business, man. I mean, it's a
Hmm.
business.
Hmm.
And if you have a church of 200-300 people, it's could be up to $1 million business. That's a pretty
Mm.
significant business. And I just realized, man, I never was taught any of this stuff. So I decided this year I was going to read some books on business. And
Yeah.
I thought that was a pretty good one. So maybe you're out
Yeah.
there and you're like, man, I don't have much business sense. Have you read that? It seems like you're picking
Yeah,
up
I
on
was gonna
that
say
one.
that's another one. I mean, I'm a business owner, so and I followed Donald Miller, so that was another one I caught. And if I remember right, is this the one where he kind of takes this almost daily entry approach?
Hmm.
Is this the
Yep.
one where he does that? Like it's like,
Yep.
hey, here's just read this chapter today, and here's some practical
Yep.
steps.
Yep.
Yeah, and I really
That's
like
it.
that aspect of it. It was really good and really he's got a very good practical way of communicating business and marketing principles. And so yeah, I really did appreciate that one.
Yeah, number 3, and I'm skipping 2 of them because 'cause they're gonna be my top 2, and I'll put them in that order, but number 3, I'm gonna say The Pastor's Justification by
Mm,
Jared Wilson. Now, this is actually an older book, I think, but for me, it was my first read, and I like Jared Wilson. I've recommended his books on here before. If you've not read that one, highly recommend it. It's pastoral philosophy. It's personal. It's about what the pastor's supposed to think like. I think Jared Wilson is nailing it on gospel leadership. A tremendous writer. I've recommended a few other things that Jared has written. Number next, I guess this would be number 4. Faithful Leaders by Rico Tice is excellent. I led our pastors at our church through this study this fall, and it's a simple book. It's got I think like 4 chapters. It's a smaller book, uh, but an amazing book on church leadership, and it would be a great study for you and for your team. That's Faithful Leaders by Rico Tyson. And Luke, we're going to link all these into the show notes, right?
yeah,
To
for
be able
sure.
to, yeah,
Yeah,
so
I
that
think
you guys
last
can.
year we just did an Amazon wish list, so you could or a list, so you could just go and get. We'll make sure to do that again this year.
Great, great. Next, Knowing God by J.I. Packer. Now this is a classic book, and I read it years ago when I first became a Christian. I read it again this year because I taught a new class this year on theology, and I just remembered about this kind of classic book. Guys, man, there's a reason why this is a million copy sold book.
Mm,
J.I. Packer is phenomenal. In fact, his other book, Concise Theology, I didn't read the whole book this year. I read a lot of it. I would just highly recommend both of those. J.I. Packer, scholar, but it's practical. His stuff on providence is amazing. Just an excellent writer. If you want to explore like theology proper, study of God, you're gonna want to get into some J.I. Packer stuff. Of course, he's the late J.I. Packer, but his work lives on. And again, Knowing God is a classic. I have read it before, but I read it again this year. And man, it's such a good book. You've got to pick that one
mm.
up if you've never read that. Have you read that, Luke?
I've not.
Oh
I've
yeah,
just
man.
actually started to. I don't know. I mean, I went to Bible college and all these things, but I'm just now hearing about J.I. Packer in recent years, honestly. So, um, yeah, I'm hearing good things in terms of
Well,
his theology and his
yeah,
teaching, and I know there's other issues as well. So,
well, there is. I mean, I don't know if he's an Anglican. I don't remember, but at the end of the day, once you get out of the box that we're all out of, it's time to start like. Not, I'm not talking this to you. I'm just saying, generally speaking, it's time to broaden your reading, man, and learn and
mhm,
grow. And guys, you got to step out of the box. If you want to grow, you get out of your box. If you
mhm,
stay in the box, you're going to stay in the box.
yeah,
So I mean, I know I've heard guys like Jeff Fugit, independent Baptists say, he takes the old Hiles thing. We only read independent Baptists. Well, and it makes sense. Their end game is you never, you don't want to leave it, obviously, but at the same time, why can't you read for information and for help?
mhm.
It's this idea that other
I mean,
people aren't sound. It's just false.
yeah, it's just this whole, spit out the bones type of mentality. You got to take it in
Right.
anything you consume. Like you're not going to agree
Yeah.
100% with everything. The independent Baptists surely don't agree 100% with each other. So, I
That's
mean,
right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and give this caveat, not that I need to do it, but I am not saying that I agree with every word and every page of every one of these books, but they were great books and they were really, really helpful. Okay. And now next, this is good. This is going. I'm literally right up on the edge of finishing this one, but it's been so good. And it's called All It Takes Is a Goal by John Acuff.
Hmm.
And there's a whole world out there about different ways of personal development, different ways of goal setting. He's got a unique perspective, super, super helpful. I think as you get into a new year, Luke, thinking about goals, thinking about plans, thinking about
Hmm.
dreams is good. I always pick up one or two health kind of self-help books each year, and I really like that one. That one's
Hmm.
got some juice to it. So I'm gonna say that one. Now I'm gonna get in my top two. Okay, my top
Let's
two.
do it.
Number two. The other one's no particular order, but these two, by far, the best books I read this year. Number two, Spurgeon's biography by Arnold Dallimore. Guys. It is a more concise biography of Spurgeon, but to me, it helps you just swallow the whole thing. And let me tell you guys, Spurgeon was a mammoth man of God. Okay. I mean, there's just no other way to put it. Next level. He's not the same. Okay. He was used in extraordinary ways and levels. And Luke, I gotta tell you, man, my favorite part of the book, and I'm not going to spill any of the details, but my favorite part of the book was was the detailed discussion of his funeral and his burial. I'm telling you guys, you want your heart warmed, you want to look and see how do you want to finish this thing? Uh it just gives me chills thinking about it. Like
Hmm.
I'm not even gonna tell you right now what happens, but there's a whole excerpt from one of the sermons preached, and I'm telling you, it's so powerful. It'll have you, if you're a preacher, if you got 5 cents worth of preach in you, you'll weep over it. And
Hmm.
then the processional to the burial has one of the most powerful stories you'll ever read. And I ain't even going to tell you what it is because you need to read the book. Um, Fascinating. Charles Spurgeon, man, broke all the boxes and
Yeah.
built literally. I mean, guys, you talk about it was a mega thing and not a
Hmm.
small thing. I'm not talking about a church. I'm talking about an enterprise.
Yeah.
Whether it was published sermons, the work his wife did with giving books to preachers is unreal.
Hmm.
The orphanages, the pastor's school. I mean, man, Spurgeon was out of his time, man. And
Yeah.
there's no wonder he's the most like quoted preacher in the world.
Yeah.
Uh,
And I'll also mention, you actually did a more kind of thorough discussion on this. It was back in, I think we dropped that episode on November
Mhm.
7th, Lessons from Spurgeon. And I think this is, you
Mm,
pulled the content, if I remember right, from this book. So if you're looking to know a little bit more about, what Brian's talking about, you did dive into that. And that was an excellent episode based off
that's
that
right.
book.
Yeah, and I mean, there's tons of Spurgeon biographies out there, tons.
Mm.
And I even have, I think I've even got a couple of my, around here that are like bigger, like huge.
Hmm.
And I mean, there's a lot to say, but this one, man, this one
Mm.
is just right on the money.
Yeah.
Similar to, there's many biographies of D.L. Moody, but my favorite one is A Passion for Souls. So I mean, it's kind of like that thing. Like, there's
Yeah.
all kinds of biographies out there, but this particular one I think was really good. All right, now my number one book for the year, and I promise you, I'm not telling you this because it is a personal friend. I am telling you this because I think it is true. And my favorite book of the year, number one book of the year, we'll give a shout out to my man. We'll tag him on the episode. Carrie Schmidt's new book, Steady Strength, is an absolute jewel Christian living book, specifically for pastors. The subtitle is Reversing Ministry's Dangerous Drift Toward Depletion. Carrie is, man, honestly, not only is he just a personal friend, Carrie is a prolific writer.
Mm.
And here's the thing, guys, Carrie is getting better all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I've liked all of Carrie's books that I've read. I haven't read all of them. I mean, I'm sure I've read most of them. And I remember when like Life Quest came out, and I thought, "Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, man,
I was
this
gonna
is
say
like
Life
such a,"
Quest was a good one.
and
So good.
that was years ago.
Hmm.
And of course, Done is like a classic, and
Yep.
um, uh, friend, Just Friends, the one on like dating and relationships, high school,
Mm.
like that was super good. But man, he's in another world, dude. He is in a world. He's in another world right now. And Carrie, we're thankful, man. We've had him on the podcast. He preaches here. I'm involved in the gospel. I am not saying this because he's my friend. I'm telling you guys this because he has written a masterpiece. I was privileged to be on the pre-release team. And in fact, I'm telling you this, Luke. He sent me the book in PDF form. I was on vacation with my wife on our annual weekly, where we go for a week together. I read the whole book in one day.
Wow.
Sitting by a swimming pool, I gobbled the whole thing up in one day. And now, tonight, as we're recording this tonight, I'll be sitting down with a burned out ministry couple on my back patio, and we are literally out loud reading the book together.
Wow.
I'm getting ready to go through the book with my staff. Guys, look, don't just look past this one. It's just another Carrie Schmidt book. It's not just another Carrie Schmidt book. It's the best Carrie Schmidt book, in my opinion. And let's be sure to just link up to Carrie's, places and stuff on here. You got to pick that book up. If you have, surely many of my listeners probably have already read it or picked it up, but don't let that. That's one of those like Dangerous Calling that you're probably going to read more than once.
Yeah.
That's how
I've not read this one yet. I've been wanting to, because like you said, there's just something about Carrie's writing style or whatever it may be that just sticks with you. Because like Stop Trying, honorable mention. Obviously that was his last book. That was excellent. And then you mentioned even his past stuff, Life Quest and whatever. I mean, literally like this Life Quest, I read that when I was a junior in high school. I can't remember. And it's like, it still sticks with me, the things that he outlines there. So there's just something about his style and the way he writes and communicates in writing. And like you said, he's only getting better. So I'm looking forward to checking this one out.
Yeah, guys. Well, hey, look, it's been another great year, Luke. Another great year of the Bryan Sams podcast. What an awesome year. What a tough year, but an awesome year. And man, best to you guys out there. Enjoy your family. I'm sure you're probably not listening to this on Christmas Day. If you are, praise the Lord, you're just something special.
Yeah. Merry Christmas.
I'm assuming you're listening to this like on the 26th or 27th or 28th or something like that. And God bless you guys, man. I hope 2024 brings you every good dream and every good plan in God's will for your life. And Luke, bless you, man. It's been a good year, and sure thankful for you and appreciate all the work you're doing here with the podcast. And let's go out and have an awesome 2024, man.
Yeah, let's do it. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next year. Thanks again for joining us for this episode, and we really would appreciate it if you could leave us that 5-star review, and then of course share this content with your friends. We want to help as many pastors and church leaders as we can, and be sure to, of course, follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you may listen to podcasts. And go ahead and subscribe to the Church Advance YouTube channel at youtube.com/@churchadvance. This podcast is hosted by Bryan Sams. It is co-hosted and produced by myself, Luke Clayton, and the team at mustincrease.com. If you want to connect with Bryan, be sure to head over to his website at bryansams.com. Well, we really look forward to seeing you again in the next episode as we continue to advance a reformation of fellowship, partnership, and gospel hope amongst Bible-believing pastors and churches right here on Church Advance with Bryan Sams.